They don't have any income, other income than that. And the classes are offered freely. If anyone is welcome to come. And our teacher is Geshema Lhadron. She's from Ladakh in India. She came here especially to be the resident teacher at Forest of Wisdom. And as far as we know, she's the only female geshe teaching in this country and is as a resident teacher. And probably in almost any countries because it wasn't that long ago, about 10
Yes.
years.
Nine. In 2016 was the first batch graduated.
In 2016 was the first time that women became geshes. She's from the first, as you said, batch. Let's say class or graduates.
Yeah, first
like that.
group
So,
graduated.
okay, and right now, Geshema's teaching 37 practices of a bodhisattva. And I'll leave the rest to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I think did I recording? Okay, good. I'm not sure whether anybody's joining on live or not. We forgot to sending the reminder, but they know the link is on the website. That's okay. Okay, so thank you, Melinda, and thank you.
I'm going to try doing the format of the class a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Teaching, and then 15 minutes to half an hour of questions and discussion. So I'm going to try that.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for everyone to coming. And it's a beautiful day, right? So just start with a beautiful day and a beautiful mind. And then the beautiful me people. I said some beautiful meanings, not really like, from the eye sensory consciousness, see as a beautiful and like run after that. It's more like your heart, meaning your mind. Just be grounded and then just rejoice and to be appreciate what we have, the beautiful life and the beautiful environment and really, really good people, meanings like-minded people who, striving to search something positive in our life, purpose in our life. That's very, very important, right? So we will start, as Melinda said, we are actually, working with the text, the 37 practices of the bodhisattva. This is the commentary, and this has like both the Tibetan and English version, and we have another English in the translation version. They are like I think couple different translations are there, but the meaning is the same. Okay. So as usual, we will start. I don't think it's really much kind of traditional or any ritual, but it's very important to set our motivation. What do you call like the proper setting, proper motivation? Anything that we start to do, any work, any practice, spiritual practice or a work practice, when you say medical practice, you have so many different practice. Practice mean actually you're putting some in action, right? So today here we are doing, we are, try to learn how to live our life as in many of the classical, Asian or the Buddhist texts and the teaching of the Buddha, where it mentioned bodhisattva practice. So bodhisattva is meaning like someone who have courageously taken some initiative to work for the welfare of others. So this motivation is so precious. They dedicated their life for this, benefit for others, which include all others living beings or sentient beings, another term. And if you sometimes you say like living beings, what about the trees or the plants or the flowers? Of course, I guess the modern science, I guess they identify the plants are also living. But whether they are sentient being or not, you can do a lot of research, you can do a lot of investigation about that. And the traditional or in the classical tradition, sentient beings means someone who have consciousness or mind. And then the consciousness is, it's given the meaning of the consciousness is like clear and knowing. And what does it mean by clear and knowing? And for that, when I say setting proper motivation, motivation is a part of mind and could be the mind or the mental factors. So let's start our motivation very, very, very pure motivation, meaning that I want to do something good for the society and myself. Find really, really some beneficial or good purpose in life. And for that, I guess we need some support. We need some encouragement. We need someone who as kind of role model for you to follow that kind of life. And then it's quite important to maybe imagine or visualize Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, because His Holiness the Dalai Lama, who is known as the embodiment of compassion of the Buddha. So you just imagine that Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and any other noble being who might be really, really play kind of key role for many living beings to follow their footstep or their follow their example. Could be, I don't know, present religious figure or someone who is like who work for the others in the different labels. You could just imagine that they are all here with you, and then you are also doing this practice not alone. All other living beings are also, just invite them that joining, taking this special initiative, because we are working for the peace and compassion of oneself and others, not really like selfish reason. So because of that, it's really good to just imagine that all other living beings, non-living aside, they are all like source of benefit for you, because we are all related, we are all connected each other, very closely connected with each other, I guess, physically as well as mentally. The main thing is mentally. When you feel like I'm so connected with mentally to that person, but not in the sense of attachment or ever attachment or making the my group or that group. There's thinking that all sentient beings are in the sense of wishing are same meaning. All sentient beings wish happiness, peace, compassion, really, really want to live in a harmonious rather than conflict. These desires everybody have from birth. Nobody taught. They have it. You can really see this from very children. If you work with children, they're so pure. I mean, generally, they're so pure. You can learn from them, and then by growing with education, then you can develop, like a more stronger this kind of feeling, caring feeling. Caring each other, respect each other, understanding each other, respect each other in different views. When we have different views, it make our life more colorful. Colorful meanings it contribute. It really enrich our own belief and our own interest. Because for that, I think we need to have like a very broad-minded and less selfish. Of course, ordinary people have limitation are there, but just aware the limitation and then try to minimize the limitation and then strengthen the positivities. We all care each other, definitely. I can see everybody have a beautiful smile. And we should continue. Yeah. Okay, so we will do 5 minutes, creating the environment, set our body and the mind in right direction. The mind, the body should be like in proper body posture, and make sure that your body is not really intense. If there is any tense, you can stretch. You can do whatever you feel more comfortable and relax. What bring you to more comfortable and relax the body. If there's any tense in the shoulder or the knees or the neck or the eyes or ears or anything, you just make sure that all set, you know, set properly, meaning find just ease in this really, really quiet and peaceful place. I mean, we can hear some, cars moving here and there, but that's just, we can hear the ears, but you just let it go. And instead of, mind wandering toward the sounds or the smells or the, you know, tactiles or the tastes or sort of, these are sensory objects which often drive us to external, like pulling. Just stay with that pulling outwardly. You try to pull inwardly rather than outwardly, okay? So when we do the meditation, we meditate with the mental consciousness rather than the sensory consciousness. That's very, very important. You need to make the differentiation between the sensory consciousness and the mental consciousness. So our body is on the right posture in meditative posture. And, like a cross leg, yeah, I see there's some who you need. I really appreciate that you can do the full, Vajra position, and then your hands and the arms are in the meditative posture. All of you are there, but not necessarily you have to be like a Vajra position because of your custom. How do you sit on the chair? So the main thing is straight your spine. That's very important. If our spine is straight and our breathing, the wind channel in our body, the wind, the energies flow naturally. And that way, you won't get tired or no tense or no stress. So because of that, straight your spine, and then make sure the neck is not too tight, like backward or bend, just normal. And then eyes half closed. If you find difficult half closed, maybe I think better not completely closed, tightly closed. If you close tightly completely, our mind often sink or the mental dullness could arise. So because of that, half close is very important. If you open completely widely, and then distraction comes. So when you do the meditation, especially do the single pointed meditation, so we are going to do like a 5 minutes of single pointed meditation, focusing on the breath. And if your eyes really widely open, the mind just wander. It's become like a monkey mind, jump here and there. You can't really, focus on the object where we are, focusing. So because of that, half close is very good. Just look like, people always say like 45 degrees, meaning, look on the tip of the nose, a little bit, very gently. And the mouth and the teeth, just normal position. And then the tongue, if possible, tilt slightly bent toward the upper palate of the mouth. Okay. Okay, so I think we have set the motivation, the mentally, invited or the imagine that all the enlightened beings are in front of us, helping us to clear our path to find the happiness and peace, not only for yourself, but everyone else, all of us. And then our physical body is on the proper position. So now the object, you try to meditate a single point meditation. Single point meditation means our mind try to focus in one object and not really too many. Of course, the mind goes here, there, but then when you are focusing on the breath, our own breath, just think of the breath only, nothing else. And then when you do the exercise in breathing and breathing out, breathing in, naturally breathing out and breathing in, and then breathing out and breathing in. And you, if possible, you can count, like, do like this. The breathing has to be really deep, and deep meaning do not really breathe shallow breathing, meaning from the chest part. If you breathe from chest part, it's shallow breathing. Just deep breathing is, breathe in, inhale from the nose, and just go, oh, try to feel that the breathing inside it, that there's, the oxygen is coming from your nostril and go to the lung, and then go all the way up to the stomach, and even sometimes you can feel all the way go to the feet. It's quite possible that you can feel that. And then when you're, breathing out, what is that? Carbon dioxide, right? So it's breathing out. And then think that when you're breathing in, maybe if possible, think that I'm taking all this unease and suffering of others and taking for yourself. And then when you're breathing out, think that I'm giving all the positivity or the good qualities that you have, sharing to others, other sentient beings. This is also known as a Tonglen practice, meaning taking and giving. And also another way is giving loving kindness to others, and taking the suffering of others is the practice of compassion. This is another form of, practice of compassion as well. At the same, if the motivation with that. Okay, let's do our breathing exercise very gently. Okay, if mind go here, then don't worry, just aware, and then bring it back to the breathing. And then when the mind is wandering away, and then just aware and bring it back again to the breath. Okay. You can take a moment and do some stretching if you feel. So, yeah, good. Yeah, get it. Everybody have the text? I think you do. Oh, okay. Then we have some copy here. Okay. We can bring them over. Oh, that like I have a copy? Yeah, sure. Thank you, thank you. You're welcome. Good. Okay, so thank you. And how do you feel? Feel good? Wonderful. It's always feel good when you've tried to create some, what do you call it? Nice environment, good environment, beneficial environment, whatever you call it. Different terms are there. The main thing is find some peace of mind, right? Some sort of easy feeling. Maybe a sensory as well as the mental. The main thing is the mind, okay? The mental piece is the main thing. So it's just known as a kind of mind training. We say this 37 practice of the bodhisattvas, where what does it really mean is like it's how do you really train your mind? How do you really turn your mind? How do you really transform your mind into really determination, beneficial, motivated, and enthusiasm, and with joyous effort. And joyous effort in all other practice could be like a generosity, ethical discipline, patience, and joyous effort, meditative concentration, and then the last one is wisdom. So we all have the potential to make our good qualities expand infinitely by training. And then for that, we need some guidelines. How do you really do that? And this is a text called, Lojong training in Tibetan. Lojong. Lo means mind, Jong means training. So the mind training. This is known as the mind training. And it's very, 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 it's practiced for like 1,000 years. It come from the Buddhas. From Buddha doesn't mean Buddhism, okay? This is very important, term here. Buddha meaning someone who have eradicate all the negativities of the mind, body, speech, and mind, and achieve or transform the body, speech, and mind into like completely stainless, awakened, and pure. And how can they really do that? Our true mind is not really mixed with kind of a dirt or affliction. This term that we use, affliction. What do you get? What do you get when you say affliction? What kind of understanding you get? Sickness. I'm sorry? Sickness. Sickness. Sickness of? Afflict. Mm-hmm. Right, right. So there are different way of understanding. Affliction, I think AFFLICTION, right? And you could S make like a plural afflictions. And I think we all have a lot of afflictions in ourselves, delusion. Our mind is sometimes deluded, not really pure. We are not enlightened yet. And one of my teachers, he often asks, how many of you think you are like enlightened? That's a funny sort of a question, right? How many you think? When you say our true nature of mind is stainless, meaning our true nature of mind have no mix with the stain. Stain, affliction, another word, affliction, but in different texts also you can find stain. And then we can wash the stain. Same as, our dish, when we are washing it with this detergent, or our clothes, when your clothes get dirty, we wash it, right? We could put it in the washing machine, or you could put like detergent and then wrap it, and then put like a water, clean water, how many times we have to rinse it, and then at the end the clothes become clean, and then our in addition that the stove in the kitchen utensil get clean. Same thing in our mind, because that really show the dirt or the stain is not really mixed with the nature of the cloth, or the nature of the, like a dish, or I mean what is kitchen utensil. And if you wash it with the detergent, here the detergent is our wisdom and compassion. If you expand your compassion and wisdom, you can minimize this, affliction or the illnesses of the mind. Slowly you can really wash it, meaning you can tell some sort of a experience by doing day by day, week by week, month by month. The main thing is when you are creating the motivation, that's what you have, you know what do you call it, make the determination, move forward. And that give you, or create a kind of platform. I'm going to work with that no matter what. But do not really force either. If to force, sometimes there's a danger that you could create some kind of stress, or some anxiety, not anxiety, I think, but more kind of uneasy feeling. If it is coming persistently again and again, sometimes could be little, what do you call it? It may discourage you to do continuously. So because of that, we are learning this text for the benefit for many, many, many years to come, or many, many life to come. So no matter whether you have this concept of rebirth or not, doesn't matter. Just think that within this, well, one lifetime, we all may all live like 80, 90. We want to just live with calm, like a friendly, with a, calm and peace and compassionate and loving, caring people, you know, so everybody love it, right? That's what we are wanted to create. And then, you try to, recognize the illness of the mind. You say the illness, when you say affliction, illness, that's a really good term. Physical body get illness, and then you have to go to the doctor. And then our mental minds get illness. And what you need to do, probably you may have to go to a psychiatrist, or I don't know, psychologist or sometime. But Buddha's teaching actually teach we all can become our own therapists. Have you heard that? And another word Buddha says, be your own masters. We each one of us become our own master, more responsible person, by learning, by watching our own uh, habits of the body, the speech, and the mind. This is the meditation. Meditation is mean like that. You just try to familiarize yourself what is going on in your mind. Any jealous, competitive. I mean, competitive meaning some jealous or curving attachment, or if we are all illusionary in somehow, we do not really able to recognize what is delusion, what is illusion. It's not easy, because say all the suffering, uneasy things that are happening in the world is rooted, the root cause is ignorance, not knowing, the reality as it is. So because of that, not knowing, meaning ignorance, the opposite. Ignorance is not a stable mind. You can find that how the ignorance actually grabs thing, it's baseless. The term that we use is baseless. For example, you know, the three poison, you have heard the three poison, right? What are they? Anybody have? Maybe new people. I mean, you may be already expert in, different fields. What are they? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Greed. Uh-huh. Delusion. And then 3 poison. Anger. Okay. Yeah, that's okay. There's different terms that you use, but 3 poison mean when you say, when you're saying affliction, what you get, and you were saying illnesses, right? So here we are referring what illness is it? It's not really physical illnesses. For example, I have a cold, I have a cough, or I have some kind of, I don't know, headache. These are physical illness, right? But our mind is also have illnesses there. And then there are many of them, and out of them there are, we call it the 3 poison. Poison mean, what happen if you have poison in the food? You can't eat, right? If you eat the poison food, you will get, nausea. You have to end up going to the emergency, ward in the hospital, definitely, right? So similarly, if you recognize that aware of the delusion, yeah, people use the delusion, but most authentic kind of term is ignorance. Ignorance, attachment, aversion. These are the 3 poison of our mind. Ignorance, attachment, aversion. Aversion is like aversion or hatred. Sometimes another word people use the hatred. So what are they? How these are known as mental factors. So we are talking about the mind training, right? So mind training has to recognize how can you really train. And the verse number, we are actually on verse number 12. So, the 37 practice of the bodhisattva, which has, 37 verses, and each verses have different, you can actually explain everything in one verse too. But that's happened only if someone study for like certain amount of time and know this. But it's really, really, really important text. How can you really talk all the Buddha's teaching, starting from, considering a precious human life, rebirth, taking refuge, generating bodhicitta, practice the 6 perfection or 10 perfection. And then there's another term known like a 5 path and 10 ground of the Bodhisattva's practice. And you could just condense everything in one verse. Then this happen how? If we expand our knowledge and our wisdom, we can summarize everything in there. So because of that, first study is really important. So it's like study, and then reflection, then meditation. So the verse number 12, the very meaning of verse number 12 is 12 to 15. And I think you 3 of you are new, right? So what you can do is you can read through when you have time. You could keep the copy with you, and then it's some sort of understandable. It's probably difficult to understand. So if you haven't studied it before, maybe you can. But there are people who actually search on. I know. I mean, the technology is available for everybody, right? Many people, when you get interest into learning this kind of tech teaching, and I also tend to research on Google too. This is helpful, definitely. But sometimes you have to make sure that you're, come across with the right place and the right people. And I think the first day I mentioned, and some of you are actually attending from the first day, in a steady mind training or study about this Buddhist teaching, especially in ancient Nalanda Buddhist teaching, which is written by the Shakyamuni Buddha, and all the ancient Nalanda is in India. It's like very, very prestigious. Like some people are saying it's not as that. The Lanam often says the first kind of very, very learning university, where people coming from all part of the world. Maybe I don't know about the West, probably some from the Europe. There's some history, but mostly from Asia, like Tibet, China, Japan, Korea. There are a lot of history out there, and Indian, of course. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama is the main person right now who is carrying this teaching from 2,500 years and until now, still very much, very much vibrantly alive. And these teachings, start come to the West, North America, Europe, Australia. I guess more kind of, actively since His Holiness the Dalai Lama and the Tibetan people came to India, 1959, or some teacher actually even before who traveled to India. I mean, Tibetan who come to India and study this teaching and then took that teaching back to Tibet and translate in different languages. Not only Tibet, but there are many scholars and historians come from different parts of the world to study in Nalanda and then translate these teaching into different languages. Okay, so why I'm saying about this text, when you Google, I was trying to say that. And there are, yeah, the first day I said the learning about this text is the motivation has to be, of course, you can become a teacher, you can become a researcher, some people can, become, pick up as your main kind of career too. But the main focus or the main motivation is not really kind of lecturing others or teach others, but the main motivation has to be, I want to do this to shape my own mind. That's very important. I want to shape my own mind. Shape meaning I want to remove all the mental states slowly, and then increase or expand my positivity of the mind. You can count many loving, kindness, compassion, patience, and then like ethical discipline, generosity, joyous effort, all this you all, I think you all already doing, and sometimes you are not really aware why you're doing it, and that's why the rejoicing is very important. Bodhisattva also talk about Bodhisattva practices. Also, rejoicing is very important. Rejoicing, if you rejoice others good and rejoice your own goodnesses, and the goodnesses will increase, it becomes stronger. And you can rejoice, you can practice the rejoice, even just you don't have to work that much hard. You can sleep and do rejoice others good things. And it actually mentioned in many of the texts that there's one thing that you can do without much effort is rejoicing the others goodness. It's really true. If you rejoice others goodness, and it help us to weaken our jealousy. Remember, being jealous because others have something good and I want to have that, and jealous is not good in a way. And it will really weaken, meaning the jealousy attitude will go minimum, go weaker, and then the rejoicing and then the appreciation, gratitude will increase. These are the things that we need to do this when we do the mind training things. So yeah, then that's why it's really important to have someone who sit in person, like in circle in person, learn from each other, share each other's like verbally, physical gesture, and then having tea together and talk something really, something that beneficial, something that give you like a purpose in your life together. And you can learn a lot from online, definitely, but sometimes you could come across the wrong people or the wrong person, even though seemingly very elegant speaking or maybe attractive sort of speaking, but you never know the motivation, right? You're looking at the screen, you don't know. So if you know the person who is teaching online and who is actually engaging, if you know the person already, and then yes, definitely you should go online and listen. Otherwise, you have to be really careful. I mean, careful means not really overcautious, but you have to be just make be smart. Be smart. I mean, of course, you're all smart, but more responsible are oneself and others. Not really, lead trap in, like a, what do you say? We don't want to create some kind of I mean, why I'm saying this is there are some people who are really excited about Tibetan Buddhism. It's something like fashionable. Yeah, this is interesting. I used to have the friend, and you live in Dharamsala, you come across many different people meet with foreigner, a lot of foreigner I met them. And some people said, the Tibetan Buddhism is kind of fashionable in the West. I was just, why? Fashionable being something kind of, external sort of thing to me. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Why is it fashionable? And I was just asking her, why? What do you mean by that? I don't get it. And that's interesting. And I was thinking about why is that? Maybe people get too excited. Of course, His Holiness knowledge, His Holiness compassion really rich everywhere. But whoever, how would say, you have to be really honest, and the frank speaking is very important. I'm just saying, some people, yeah, when in the person that was talking about Tibetan Buddhism is fashionably in the West, they said, why it is that? And then we had like a long conversation about different, sometimes like little uneasy sort of connection or some controversial could arise, but both have responsible, the teacher or the people who are, attended the teaching, both have, responsible to their own. Because of that, we have to make ourselves more responsible and then fashionable. Hmm. Interesting. I was really curious about why it is that. It shouldn't be. And then also fashionable is not really negative either, right? You can have some positive, sort of understand also. Can we? Maybe, right? Can be, why not, right? And then you have to keep it open-minded and then just learn about it. And yes, Tibetan Buddhism is really, really rich. It's almost like a the Nalanda's legacies, all the Nalanda masters, the works and the legacies and the teachings, it's very much based on like a scientific. People often use a scientific meanings, not really that you have to put this thing into the kind of uh, machine or maybe fMRI or EEG. Of course, maybe you can do, but not necessarily that. It's deals with the reality, okay? Because of that, it came to about this internet. Technology used for the good is definitely fine, but sometimes they can exploit a little bit too, and you have to just be careful. Be careful. That's why I was mentioning about. And then verse number, there's new who are here. For the first two verses, actually 7 verses is introduction of the text. And then from verse number 8 until 11, now we are doing the 12. We are on the verse number 12. We have finished the first 11 verses. And okay, let me see. And the outline have the verse number 1 to 7 is like a preliminary practice. It's known as a preliminary practice. I'll just give quickly overview. But we have three people in you, right? Maybe do you have the outline? Maybe not. At the very back. Oh, good. Okay, yeah. The very back, the outline is where you said the verses in the middle, the main parts of the text, like that. And the verse number 1 to 7 is the preliminary practices. Preliminary practices meaning you are preparing to do the actual practice. So checking the teacher, checking the lineage, checking the source of the teaching, and what kind of preparation you have to do, and what kind of teacher you need to look, and what kind of place you need to have, or what kind of motivation you should have. This is the verse up to from one. Actually, the first 2 verses is actually salutation to the teacher. The author pay homage to their teachers. Pay homage to teacher is very important too. Teachers, Buddha Shakyamuni, and then their own teachers, okay? And then verse number, let's see, where is it? And then verse number 8 to verse number 8, 9 is, how to train the path initial level practitioner. I mean, small scope, middle scope, and then greater scope. It's known as the lag. It's also the small capacity, middle capacity, and the greater capacity. I think this is what. Did you get it? Oh, good. Thank you. So how to train in the path of initial level practitioner. Initial level practitioner meanings, small scope. Another word, small scope meanings. Here, when you say the small, middling, and great, in the among people or among other sentient beings, people have different mental inclination, mental disposition. You get that? Some people are so much afraid of it's deal with the suffering. This is the main thing is we want to free from suffering, right? And how can you really free from suffering? And then the suffering of different levels are there. Suffering of suffering, suffering of change, and pervasive condition suffering. Pervasive condition suffering. Suffering of suffering, suffering change, and pervasive condition suffering. And then suffering means a very manifest suffering. For example, like unbearable sickness. For example, AIDS, or maybe, cancer, or some, physical manifest sort of suffering. Something that you don't want, but it happened because of the causes condition is in there. And that's known as a suffering. And suffering change is more, another word. Suffering is the root cause, or the cause. The root cause is ignorant, definitely, but main cause is like non-virtuous action. Have you heard that? Non-virtuous action, meaning if you are committing our body, speech, and mind from the body, killing, stealing, engaging in sexual misconduct, and then from the mouth, lying, and divisive, speech, and then harsh word, and then adultery, talking meaningless for chatterbox, becoming chatterbox. These are, like a non-virtuous sort of action from the speech. And then the mind, napsen lokta. How do you say that? I think I've given this list earlier, and you can go to the the YouTube channel. We have your YouTube channel, and some of the notes are there. So this is how you really do. In the first meaning, some people who really unbearable of this manifest suffering, and you want to escape from that suffering, and what you need to do is engage into the cause that lead you to free from that manifest suffering. That's the small. And then the middle one is not really just very immediate sort of suffering, but look a little bit deeper, where the contaminated all mundane pleasure. Are you getting what does it mean by mundane pleasure? Temporarily, seemingly pleasure, or seemingly happiness. Seemingly happiness, but it turned into, suffering in right after 1 minute or few moments. It's pleasure and pleasant, but it turned into trouble. I think we all have this experience. Immediate gratification. Yeah, immediate sort of thing. Yes. So it's the technical term is called all mundane pleasure is in the nature of suffering or change. And then there's very many examples you could give. When you are really cold, you feel really, really cold, right? And then you want to have like a sun shining, and you want to stay in there. If you go outside and then just sit, for example, you go to the beach or somewhere and just lie down. Then if you stay there for like hours, what happened? The sun burn your skin, or nothing happened, right? It changed, right? The coldness, turn at the first moment is warm. I think I feel so cool. This is what we all have this experience, right? If you stay there too much, and it's a turn into suffering. This is what you known as a suffering change. And then the third one is very, very difficult to like recognize or identify. pervasive condition suffering. So, suffering, it's in even animals, dogs and cats, identifies as suffering. And they don't want to, we live with that. But the suffering change, it's more like it, it's deceive us. It's really deceive us. As mean we are deceive ourselves because of this mental attitude. And then you just run after, right? And you see like some kind of attractive, like a object outside. If you go to the supermarket or something, gadget or clothes or whatever, you think your mind just run after that. And then when you obtain that kind of object, you feel so happy, you feel so pleasant. But and maybe 1 or 2 days later, the first moment when you get some kind of very, you say like a priceless sort of, I don't know, object, could be like an iPad or I don't know, watch. There are some watch that cost like I don't know, millions or something. That was Rolex something. Do you know? I was so surprised. One time what was that? I was I was helping some people who came from Tibet to India and Nepal to do pilgrimage, and I was helping them to as a kind of tour guide. And one of them, when they were returning back to back, they were looking. They want to watch one. They want to buy one watch. Buy, or I don't know whether they were going to do some business or somebody asked them to look that watch or not. It's called Rolex or something. And where can we get this kind of watch? I don't go this kind of thing, millions kind of rupees or dollar watch. Why? Instead of putting on like a millions on your wrist, use that to medicine or maybe education or something else. Why not? This is my attitude, right? And they were looking that watch and the Rolex something. And then, okay, let's go to watch somewhere, look somewhere in the supermarket somewhere. And yeah, we did walk around this supermarket, and they do have a watch that costs like about 2-3 million rupees, Indian rupees. And if you try, convert that into a dollar, I don't know, I don't know how much, but you can create what like a whole hospital or whole school. It's one watch. I was just surprised. What is this? It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. you know but people don't understand. People, I mean, of course, the other day we were talking about some of the rich or poor sort of thing. I mean, people often tend to, when you say poor or rich, always just think about how much money that person have and they're rich. And the people who have this beautiful kind of heart, compassion, they do not really value much, because this has happened. What was that? When you do meditate, and was many of these very good teachers, they said, and we care about ourselves, but do never meaning, most of the time we neglect taking care of our mind. Do you get it? Most of the time we actually neglect how to take care of your mind. Because of that, we have so many illnesses on your mind. Too much of the physical body, too much of, I don't know, luxury, whatever. So sometimes feel so funny, but we are not. I'm definitely sure that we are not. But there are some people who but it's up to them what you do. But sometimes it's kind of surprising to see this kind of thing. Anyway, so let's do the three of you who are new, you could read over the one verses what it says, and we can do a little later about, like you call it discussion. And now we need to read the verse number 12. This is very important. Verse number 12 is about, okay, have you got that text right? Where you say, even if someone out of strong desire steal all your wealth or has it stolen, dedicate to him your body, position, and your virtue, past, present, and future. This is the practice of bodhisattva. Huge, right? It's very happy, but something's possible, definitely. For example, hard, definitely hard. losing. This is actually the outline where said losing, meaning something that belonged to you, and then someone have like stolen it. Could be things, could be clothes, could be home, could be country, could be anything that we all have the sense of belonging, right? And someone who was really, greedy and some kind of dominative minded, and they take away from you. And it's not easy, definitely, to, okay, let him take him or her take it, whatever whatever he want. I just rejoice. Sometimes not easy to do these things, but if someone is really well trained, things are just things. It just, when you die, nothing can carry with you. Even your body, your own home, your parent, your own body. You have no power to carry with you, right? When I'm saying you, where we are pointing, and you need to study a lot about this deeper philosophy. Our body is not us, and our mind is not us either. And who are you? You need to ask them about this question about who are you. And I am a person, definitely. Right? And okay, anyway, verse number 12, it's not easy, but it's impossible. It's not impossible either. Even if someone out of strong desire, the other person, or maybe yourself also kind of, like a greedy, just too much desire. Even if someone out of strong desire steal your wealth or has it stolen, dedicate to him, dedicate meaning, I think what the way that you could look is, if someone is, how do you say, someone oppress you, or someone who really dominate you, or because of greedy, because of jealous, because of arrogance, they have taken your home, wealth, whatever. And you can think like, if you're safe, you're still healthy, you you're still, there's no danger of your life, and you're also in ability to think properly, and then you just look at the whole situation that he or she have done it, and just check whether they are able to use it from the right way or not. If something is not really used in the right way, we have to stand and speak about it. That's also bodhisattva's way of practice. You have to stand and not really fight with the anger or hatred or attachment, but very courageously, with skillful mean. Skillful means, it's really important. Bodhisattva practice compassion from root, very compassionate, loving kindness, because that person is doing this. They are creating so much negativities, and they will, sooner or later, they have to face the consequences no matter what. And then from deep down, it's more compassionate, that person who is really abusing those who are seemingly weaker. But in them, you never know the person mental state is, whether it's really getting weak or not. I think I share a few example of some people who were without doing any kind of, without committing any crime or any, thing, they're just put them into jail and torture, and even though they kill them, but their mind never ever become weak. They never ever, kind of have this feeling of revenge, and they don't feel like that because they see far far further than this life. This body is just, some of the verse, I think verse number one somewhere, that your body is like a guest house, and that your consciousness is a guest who live in the within guest house. When the time to go, when the time to separate the mind and body, the guest house will be there, and somebody else can use it, or maybe you can. There are people who do organ donation. These are the bodhisattva practice. When you know that you are going to die anyway, because of some illnesses, whatever, and your eyes or the hearts or some, these are very functionable, and people donate. This has happened. This is also Buddhist practice. Bodhisattvas not necessarily have to be Buddhist or religious person. It's someone who have this kind of courage, or someone who have this kind of mental attitude. They are bodhisattvas. You could have a bodhisattva in all different forms. you know, Buddhist, non-Buddhist, non-Buddhist meaning another other faith follower, could be Christianity, could be Muslim, could be Hinduism, could be Islam, could be like Sikhism, could be Baha'i. There are so many different religious tradition in this world, and it's benefit so many people in the past, and it's benefiting right now, and it's also benefiting in the future, definitely. But the person has to be honest yourself, and then be open-minded and skillful person. So that's why these are things. So we have a lot of good people in the world. We don't have to get too much kind of what do you call it, sometimes when you see so much violence, so much conflicts happening, you feel a little sad, you could cry, or you could feel emotional. It's natural, that's okay, it happened, but then let it go and then move forward, right? Okay, so verse numbers 12, and you need to work a lot. I think it's not easy, but very skillful. Okay, skillful meaning you have to be really practical too, realistic and practical, how much you can do it. you know yeah, okay, the Dalai Lama have done it, the Buddha have done it, or Jesus have done it, or Mahavira have done it. I can do that too, why not? But yes, we can do, but there's a time when you can do. We need to wait until you are really ready. Because of that, in the Guide to the Bodhisattva Way of Life by Bodhisattva Shantideva text, it said, don't donate your organ or give your body to others until you are not ready. When you're ready, you can do it, otherwise not. He has clearly given this instruction. When you are, your mind is developed, enough, when you're, realization, we call this realization, when your mind is transformed enough, then you can do it. Okay, so this, the verse number 12 to 15, verse number 12 to 15 is actually, the heading is let's see, where is it? Yeah, verse number 12 to 15 is transforming distressing even into the path. This is the heading, is give you really good information. Transforming distress even into path. Into path mean into practice. It make part of your part of your life, part of your practice. Transforming, any uneasy things happening, people are stealing from you, people are try to dominate you, people who maybe taking advantage of you. But you know if someone is really taking advantage of you, is also no really negative thing either. If someone is already using you, and then they are doing good things for others, you can rejoice with that, because in that way bodhisattvas actually pray that they pray that, may I become a slavery for the others, happiness. May I become like a bridge that benefit for others. May I become like a servant for others. This is their pray. And then and when this thing happen, we have to rejoice that, oh, my prayer actually answer. Definitely. It's something really possible. And you have to be really courageous. Yeah, it's all really courageous. And then realistic too. Not jump in there's another kind of a example, and or I think it's saying in Tibetan. The tiger and wolf. Tiger can jump from, you know, more distant, right? Tiger can jump from here to there quite easily, but then the wolf maybe not, because of the physical, things. Don't jump, that the tiger can jump, and if the wolf jump, because the tiger is jumping, I can do that too. If the tiger, what was that? The wolves can try to do that. Maybe the wrist could break, or your leg could break, and you will become useless. And this is really interesting kind of, like a saying. Tachos, tachos are wachona, wangama chani, kiba chani shigure. Meaning, if you jump, the place where the tiger jumping, if the wolf jump where the place that tiger can jump, it just mimic that the tiger can jump. And if the wolf jump, the wolf could break his or her wrist or that time to the leg, and you will die. So make sure that you're not really doing that. Right? Interesting, no? Okay, so I think verse number 12 to 15 is a check. Okay, it's all about transforming. It's another word is called transform the adversary into opportunity, or transforming distress even into the path, whatever term you use. If someone, sometime if you are suffering because of some causes condition, you can take that as an opportunity to practice, to try to understand the nature of life. And then you can also pray that whatever the like a physical or the mental kind of suffering that you're facing, may all other living beings suffering just ripen to myself. You can do the Tonglen practice. This is how you could use this as an opportunity. Distressing or adversary turn into the opportunity. Then same thing about practice patience. If someone cause you some like a uneasy thing, if cause you a little angry, arise sort of thing, and then you can try and think about, oh, this caused me to realize my anger can kill me. Or my anger can weaken my immune system. So I shouldn't I shouldn't react. What external Mac factor doesn't really affect much to you if we create strong kind of mental attitude. So the verse number 12 to 15 is that the the outlines say lose, suffering, and blame. And losing meaning the people who still stolen, taking advantage. There are different forms could be there, and you could just transform that into positive rather than negative. And then there's verse number 13, when you suffer, when you are having some illnesses, and do some Tonglen practice. And then verse number 15 is if someone criticize you, someone make so much voice and noises about you, even though you haven't committed anything, you just, Bodhisattva Shantideva says, you just remain as piece of wood. Remember these first verses are there. I think chapter what? Patient chapter, it's all explained about this. If someone make us too much noises about you, even though you haven't really committed like any wrong, but they make a story about you and this and that, manipulating people, you just remain piece of wood, meaning not really not feeling, but whatever they're doing is this kind of childish action. And I wish they should be doing something good rather than that kind of action. And we can get the maximum benefit if you think like that way. And because our body and mind remain us with ourselves, nobody can steal. Nobody can steal our mental qualities. They can steal our things. They can take advantage of your people who are taking advantage of the seemingly kind of poor, but in the mental and mentally you never know, you never really know. So because of that, the verse number 12 to 15 is quite important. I mean, of course they're all important, but it's practical thing. It's really, really much a practical thing. So I think I will read the verses for number. I think we already read the 12th one, right? And then also, let me see. Yeah. And verse number 12 done. And then 13, even if someone tries to cut off your head, that's also not easy, definitely. Oh, that's why Bodhisattva Shantideva says, don't give up your things until you are ready, meaning someone who is really achieved some certain degree of realization, certain degree of transformation of your mind, someone who is become real bodhisattva. What is it when you say real bodhisattva, meaning someone who have, like achieved, someone who have transformed your mind, just completely 100% dedicated for others, selfless, become like selfless person, selflessness person. And you becoming bodhisattva is you have to enter into the path, meaning your mind has to be transformed into, like a completely positive. Positive doesn't mean like a HIV or COVID-19 top positive. It's more like benefiting than the, like a harming. That's important. It's not easy, definitely. Even if someone tries to cut off your head when you haven't done the slightest thing wrong, out of compassion, take all this misdeed upon yourself. This is the practice of bodhisattva. See, I think I share one of the story of one of the great practitioners in Tibet who haven't done any wrong and who was really dedicated teaching people how to live life with purpose, with benefit, and the Chinese authority, they put him in prison and they execute him, and his mind was maintained really calm and compassionate, and he was just saying, the last minute they were actually almost killing that, and he said, give me some time to pray for it. And then his prayer was, may all other beings suffering rub into myself, that this, I have to take my life this time. I mean, someone is taking my life, but the person who is committing this killing, he was really compassionate for that person. Yeah, of course it's hard, but he really was. And there was another, he was killed, but another person who was in prison for like, I don't know, 20 plus years. And then somehow he was able to come to, in free country. And he met with His Holiness. And then His Holiness asked, what kind of experience you had in the prison? And he said it was okay. And he learned all this teaching. And he was really trying to, understand of this, the physically, when people become real bodhisattva, they do not really feel pain either, physically. It's just like kind of, just kind of vegetation sort of thing. But the mind is really clear, very sharp. They can think of it. And what he said was, it was really, really moving. And he said, I think I shared another time, but maybe three of you haven't heard that. It's a real story. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama asked, what was the experience in this, in prison? And he said, yeah, there were certain periods with some dangers were there. And His Holiness thought maybe it's in danger of life, maybe some of the prison guard, or maybe they are, maybe planning to kill him or something like that. That was his, his impression. He said, and then what kind of danger is there? And he said, it's in danger of losing compassion for this person who is torturing you. See, it's real story. Not long ago, I think like 10, 15 years ago, and he came to India. I met His Holiness, and I met one person actually, one lady from Tibet, and she was in prison about, I think, 20 plus years, and she passed away a few years ago. And I actually had a real, like a conversation with her and listening about her, experience in the prison, and that her mind is so strong. She shared her experience in that, and she was saying she was in the prison and they were torturing, everything's happening, and she was praying from her heart that no matter what, the Chinese or the Tibetan or anybody, we are all human being or sentient being who wish to happiness, and then the suffering, not doesn't wish, do not really want to have suffering, but these people are doing because of some external force are there, not really voluntarily, definitely. Like there are people, some maybe the voluntarily, but mostly influence of some others. The mastermind, the remote control. We often use another word, so remote control. The remote control or the mastermind is someone else, not those people who are in the, maybe weapon, the prison guard. They are not, because then she was practicing this, thinking about the whole situation like that way. And she was in prison, suffered so much, but her mind and her face is glowing. Interesting. Very interesting. She passed away, I think, 2 years ago. And she came to India and she got a lot of teaching from His Holiness, and she stayed. And then she was teaching her experience how to really, be compassionate, be loving, caring for destitute children. And she make like let the children to make like a sculpture. She was really powerful person. There were two of them. I met one, but there was one nun. There were a few nuns actually, and who were in the prison, and they were actually composing beautiful song, experiential song related with the Dharma practice. See, when you have the control of your mind, you can do anything. All right. Okay. So what was that? Yeah, when we were doing what is the first number, what was that? 13, right? Even if someone try to cut your head, even if they, oh no. What was that? I think 13, right?
Yes.
Even if someone tries to cut off your head when you haven't done the slightest things wrong, out of compassion, take all these misdeeds upon yourself. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. And exchange, this is like Tonglen practice, meaning giving and taking practice for mentally. And we have to train mentally first, and then maybe someday do actually doing that. And then you can have the example about, people who have very compassion and doing this organ donation, or there's a lot of things are there. And then number 14, even if someone broadcasts all kinds of unpleasant remarks about you throughout the 3,000 world, in return, with a loving mind, speak of his good qualities. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Okay, some other people who are criticizing you, making you fun of you, making try to make some of even though you haven't done much, you haven't did anything, making mistake, just try to make these things, and what you need to do is be, be loving, be caring, be kindness to that person. The same thing, he or she may have to suffer. I'm so sorry that she or he may be suffering in the future. Please, just pray that I wish he or she do not do that kind of things. And if there is an opportunity, if there's a way that you could tell that person, maybe not really right thing to do that, because this is not really good for you for a long run. And you have to be a skillful way to communicate with that kind of people. If there's a way that you could do, and you need to stand and you need to talk about it. Sometimes you have to stand, not really in the form of confronting, but more like a communication, more like a dialogue. That's why His Holiness and the Dalai Lama often said, problem, conflict should, resolve in dialogue. We can communicate, right? And animals also communicate somehow, but human being, of course. That's why this is a center of dialogue, right? So you can solve this smaller problem up to the international scale problem with it through dialogue. Yeah. And I think in verse number 15, I would like to talk. Let's just read that too. Throughout someone who made, what is that? Did right? What is it?
Like slander.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Means thing. Okay. Because my English is not that good. I'm trying.
Pretty
No. Pretty good. Okay. Through those, someone may deride and speak bad words about you in a public gathering, looking on him as a spiritual teacher, bow to him with respect. This is the practice of bodhisattva. Yeah, it's something really possible that you can do it. Really, really possible that you can do it. But it doesn't make I'm saying don't make excuse. We don't have to make excuse, but make sure that I can do it. If you can't, you have not really ready to do it, then you not give up. But I'm going to do it definitely when I'm ready. I'm not going to give up. This practice. This is something really, really useful for you and others. This is what you need to do, I think.
Maintain it.
Or is that
Like, it's hard to maintain it. Like,
hard to maintain?
like the story you said about the danger.
Oh, yeah. Uh, yeah, continue consistence, right? Consistently
Yes.
practice. Yes, yes. So because of that, we need the enjoys effort into this to get like enjoyful into this practice. Enjoys effort is require effort. You know this about the six profession practice. We have the joy's effort is joys mean for the positivities of for the virtuous action. We always should have the joy's effort rather than burden. Not really take as a burden, but take as an joyous action. If you see the joyous action, when you see the result is beneficial, then we will have the joys and rejoicing. And the result is definitely yes, bigger. And then when you are expecting, the result is, something that benefit for larger scale, long run, and it's better to put effort in maybe temporary like a immediate moment. Maybe we have to challenge a little bit. You may, because we have some limitation, right? We may have to challenge, but it's worth to challenge it, worth to challenge it. That's why people talk about like a peaceful demonstration when there's nothing, when there's not right thing, not right thing going on. Peaceful demonstration, non-violent resistance, different kind of term that people use, like Gandhiji, who dedicates his whole life to get freedom by using non-violent actions, non-violent resistance, civil obedience, the different kind of terms they use. And he was able to, bring it. And the similar thing that could happen in anywhere in the world, right? And His Holiness the Dalai Lama, when he came to India in 1959, in the minute where he crossed the border from Tibet to India, and he just feel like very kind of pleasant feeling that I am free from the danger, meaning he arrived in a free country, a free world where he can expand his work for the benefit of others with freely rather than under the control of so much this authoritarian. Sorry, but we have to be compassionate to everyone, but then you need to just make the realistic way. All right. Okay, so I think we finished up to verse number 15. Let's say finish. And we'll make about do some Q&A session or discussion. We have half hours. So if you have any question related with the tax or anything else, we can do. And then I have a few announcement little later, or that will do little later. Okay. Any question? Yes.
A question about study, reflection, and meditation.
Mm-hmm.
If you could give an example of each one, like
I see.
if you were to pick a topic, like say, I want to study, reflect, and meditate on precious human rebirth. Can you give an example of what would be studying, what would be reflecting, what would be meditating?
Very important. That's good. And we call it's like we talk about wisdom and compassion, right? So wisdom is the mental factors that have the capacity to make the judgment what is right and what is wrong, and use that intelligence. And then what is right, once you know the what is good and what is right, and how do your wisdom drive through study, wisdom drive through reflection, wisdom drive through meditation. Okay, take the precious human body or human life. So what do we say? Wisdom drive. There's a technical way, and then there may be more loosened understanding. Okay, when you go the technical thing, I think I could try to do all three. Loosen understanding, precious human body, with the study. You need to study about what are the causes that you or we will be able to you have got this precious human body. Okay, the causes, you need to think about the causes, study about the causes of the precious human body to obtain the precious human body. Study about, you need to study listening from people, and then reading books, listening from people, teacher or friends, and then reading books. But reading books, the authentic books, the good books that they explain about the precious human body, how hard it is. Lamrim Chemu, the stage of the path to enlightenment by Lama Tsongkhapa is very, very good about this. Is very extensive, explanation about precious human body. Why it is so precious? You can do a lot. You need to study it thoroughly. What are the causes and what are the opportunity you have when you have this human body? You can achieve a lot of good thing with this human body, and that's why it makes so precious. And study about all of that, and then the wisdom about study is just reading, learning is it's words you're studying. That's not really the wisdom. The wisdom is actually when you're reading, listening, watching also, find gathering all the information. There's some sort of transformation in your mind to take place. For a precious human body, you need to understand, like, human body is really, really precious, and you have some conviction in you, and you think that this is I think the wisdom draft through what study, and the reflection you do again and again, think about the meaning, repeatedly think again and again, and meaning you do, like, learn about how many different kind of the main cause to obtain a human body is practice ethical discipline. And then ethical discipline have like a three layers are there. Ethical discipline based on, actually it's from the teaching. Physical and verbal discipline. Something, it's like for example, if you want to be safe, you have to put a fence around. Okay, fence around. If you have the fence around, I mean, danger could be anything, animal or maybe people. Sometimes people go into, because of the condition, they become crazy, or I don't know, whatever they. We have to be really compassionate, but at least, conventionally, there are crazy people around there too. You don't want to get, don't jump into the, like, where the tiger is jumping and then you jump. No, if you see like there's a tiger coming, you run away better, instead of where this tiger come from and who sent it. If you this questioning this philosophical thing, and then maybe the tiger can eat of you, right? So it's better just run away. That's the skillful way to do it, right? So, and the ethical discipline have like a 3 layers. In one is in the text it's called more like a vinaya, meaning normal ethical conduct. As a human, we have, it's not really like a story, it's more like what's like a natural law. Verbal, physical wrongdoings is the unethical, and then the right thing, right maintaining the verbal and physical and discipline, and well disciplined, which lead to personal liberation. Have you heard that? And the vows, another terms that you call the vows, the pledge, taking pledge, or taking a precept, that I want to not really engage into the 10 non-virtuous action. Or there's vows. We have vows, like 5 lay vows, taking lay vows. There are 5 of them, like not killing, not what was that? Not stealing, not it's sexual misconduct, and not taking intoxicant, and then what's that? Yeah. So, like, say, taking lay people vows, and then taking the bodhisattva vows, and then taking the tantric vows. These are the, when you say taking the vows of personal liberation, it's more like we want to free from the cycle existence. Personal liberation. Have you heard that? Good. Your question is about precious human life. How can you really make that like what was that? With the what was that? Study, reflection, and the meditation. Study, reading books, learning from people, and but then your mind, you have some conviction that this is really meaning, it's really meaning something. That's really when you have this kind of understanding, it's study. And then the reflection, you will have more precise way. It's so like in psychology where you say let me see, what was that? You have understand like what was that? I don't have them with the psychology books with me. In English it says, I think, conviction. Listening, it doesn't mean listening from your ear. You have some kind of transformation taking place, starting the transformation taking place in your mind. The steady, the wisdom drive through listening, or the steady is the same thing. This, when you listen and then you think about that, and then your mind is more like directing toward the point.
It's less
Start,
about
yeah,
thinking.
more action, more, yes, more like action, not really just living in the theory, but more like in action. Action meaning your mind is starting to transform, taking like some transformation. When you have started the transformation, taking the transformation is the first step, which is wisdom drive through learning or listening. What you're saying about the steady or listening is same thing. And then when you have the wisdom drive through reflection, you have the ability to repeatedly think about again and again, and and when you have the inferential, the inferential mind, you actually realizing it, that with the precious human life is really, really precious. You are convinced that yes, it is, and you really realize it mentally, and like a mental consciousness, you have the realization there already. That's actually like a wisdom reflection. But you need to do again and again and again about the causes and the condition and the opposite. The what is the 8 leisure and the 10 endowment. Remember that precious human body is have this leisure and endowment. We did that, I think. 8 leisures and then 10 endowment we have. You need to think about one by one, and study. You have to just go one by one. What does that really mean? How that relate to your own action? And then you do again and again and again. Then you really have to have some kind of a conviction come. And then on the third one, which is meditation. Meditation is more like experience. You feel like joy when you understand this. I feel so happy, right? When you say, some simple thing, when you're looking something that you want to have, and when you got it, and you feel so happy, right? And it's the experience is not really like a temporarily, but long lasting experience. Long lasting experience, and you can't really reverse it that from that experience. Reverse mean, you won't diminish again, because you have work that way. So this is a meditation means more like experience about it. You rejoice your life. You are so happy with it. You never get the kind of distress. You never get feeling of sadness, of distress, stress. These are, because it happened because of the limitation. We don't understand the human body is so precious. When the leisure, meaning that like, it's something that you have this opportunity to do something really good thing for others and yourself, right? So this is could be that you could do like and then you read more, and then while you're reading, give some thought about it, and then you try to make sure that they pick up the key point. Key point means it has a key point, right? Precious, why it is so precious. You can achieve so much from it, not really just temporary achievement, but long-lasting happiness, long-lasting, like a peace. This is what you need it to be. I think we have only 15 minutes left. And any other question?
Could you please repeat the title that you gave?
Oh yeah, he says like a study, reflection, and meditation. We-
I'm sorry, you suggested a book?
oh no, I didn't suggest a word. Lamrim Chemo. It's called the great stages of the path to enlightenment. There's some books written by Lama Tsongkhapa. This is his image here. Is a Tibetan great, like a meditator, teacher, sage, who have written so much commentary of the Buddha's teaching. And then one of these is called The Great Stages of the Path to Enlightenment. And that books have its English translation available. There's like 3 volumes. And I think the first volume in the number 1 is talk about the number 1 is precious human life. And it's a rare to find it. Why it's rare? Once you have obtained it, use it for the purpose, for the good purpose. It's called The Great Stages of the Path to Enlightenment by Lama Tsongkhapa.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think this book, you have a copy?
I've got this book called Practicing the Path, which is a commentary.
Okay. I think it's the copies over there. So you can order on Amazon. They have available of the all 3 kind of the volumes, and it has extensive explanation about why the human body is so precious and so rare to find, how it come to rare, how it come to precious. Because if you use it correctly, you can become Buddha or Bodhisattva in one lifetime. There's a possibility. Yeah, and then we need to work out. We need to start somewhere. Yeah, the stages of the path to enlightenment. Okay, the great stage. I think the great stages of the path to enlightenment. You can see the title is over there. It has 3 volumes. Yeah. Okay, I think we need to dedicate our session today. And okay, so I won't say any verses, but more like a mentally dedicate whatever positive or good action that we have created by gathering today, to dedicate that to our happiness, our peace, our compassion and wisdom, expand and reach each and every sentient being's heart. And may all the role model, for example, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and many other enlightened beings who are here to serve the sentient beings to free from suffering and the causes of the suffering, live long so that they can continue their action, so that we can create like a peace and happiness in the world. And yeah, may the teaching of the Buddha, compassion and wisdoms, continue to spread around the world, not only just this planet, but the whole universe. That's this kind of mind you need to just always try to create, okay? And then, it's really beneficial for oneself and others. So it's something really, really, really precious, because we have got the precious human life, right? We're so lucky. You need to think like we're so fortunate. And if you feel like you're fortunate, you're lucky, then you will continue to enjoy these teachings and transform your mind and body and speech into, even like you're taking an adversary into path, which is today we talk about this verse number 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay. 청주 선조를 뭐지 뭐지 보는 게 요새 교원냐면 Okay, thank you so much and have a good day. Thank you. Just 1 minute.